Good afternoon. Thank you. Welcome back. So what we want to get started on first, as Rita comes up to announce our guests, I wanted to make sure all of you are aware as we go into the budgetary time of year. If you haven't got your budgets into Dave Grantham by June 15th, we really need that to happen. So if you're a committee chair and you're looking at what you're going to do for the 2023-2024 year, please make sure you got those numbers into Dave before June 15th. I really appreciate it. Rita, come on and announce our guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Guests, when I call your name, please stand so we can give you a warm Kiwanis welcome. Michelle Allen, speaker.
Hey, Michelle.
Thank you. Taya Sadiq, guest of Christian. Thank you. Sif Minison, guest of Mike Beer. Jim Corbett, guest of Mike McCoy. Tim Boyd, guest of Mike McCoy. And Carolyn Kalinda, guest of Sharon Barrs. Thank you all for attending today and welcome.
Thank you, Rita. And now for the news from governance, Janine's going to come up and give us our slate for next year's officers and board members.
And committee chairs, if you don't have your budget, don't worry. There are chairs like myself who are looking for extra money. So if you can't spend yours, let me know now. Be more than happy to spend it for you. So at this time, I will read the recommendation from the nominating committee. I will read the roll of officers. Then we will open the floor for nominations. President Andy Minor. President-elect Mike Baer. Vice President John Mullis. Co-treasurer Dave Grantham. Co-treasurer Kent Jimison. Secretary Rita Smith. Those will be the officers as nominated by or recommended by the nominating committee. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Thank you. Thank you. I have a first and a second. All those in favor of the nominations as received, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Recommendations for board members for the board of the club. Louis Unger and Chad Choate. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Everybody loves Robert's Rules of Order. Move they be closed. Move they be closed. Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Woohoo! One more. We have nominations, recommendations from the nominating committee for foundation board members. Remember, all of these take place on October 1st. 3 nominations are J.B. Tucker III, Don Stanhope, and John Vita. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor? Second. There we go. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That is your slate of officers and participants on the board for October 1st. Thank you.
One more big hand for Janine and her committee for putting all this together. We really, really appreciate all the governance work. Thank you so much.
Gratitude and budget numbers. Gratitude and budget numbers.
Fantastic. Sharon, do we have any updates from membership or foundation?
I don't at this time. I don't know. Jack, do you have anything? Membership? Are you good? Yeah, good. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. The membership committee did meet beforehand, so we'll have some updates soon. With that, I'm going to introduce Mike Baer for community service.
Should we go right into the introduction too after that. All right. Thank you, Andy. Good day, everyone. There's no report. We do have some things coming up in the very near future, so be ready for them. But since I happen to be standing in front of you right now, I would like to introduce our guest speaker today. It's with Isaiah 117. Michelle Allen is the expansion coordinator, and I got a chance to speak with Michelle a little while ago, or visit with her before the meeting today, and she's got some exciting things to present to us as the good work that Isaiah 117, this organization, does for foster kids and their families. Michelle has spent 40 years. She retired from HCA Hospital Group. She was in administration for almost all of those years. And she decided she wanted to get back in and do some good for the community. Right, Michelle? And you've got your clicker ready to go? Come on up. I'll bring you up here. Please give a warm Kiwanis welcome to Michelle Allen.
Wow, this is tall. Hello there. So as he said, I am the expansion coordinator for Isaiah 117 House, Manatee, Sarasota County. So we do have homes that are just a little update. We opened our 15th home on Sunday. First home in Texas, so that was really exciting. Most of the homes are found in Tennessee with a few in Indiana. However, we are now spanning, thanks to Mike Rowe, who did a documentary on us. There was 2.5 million people who watched that, and now everybody wants them in their state. But we are expanding. There are 15 now opened and 51 in the process between expansion, which is where we are, in the building phase. So for Florida, Baker County, which is next to Jacksonville, they actually are probably going to be the first home in Florida to open. They had a group of 80 guys come out over Memorial Day weekend and in 5 days built the house, which was such a blessing. Obviously not the inside. There's no walls or anything yet, but the outside and the roof and everything. So the next is going to be Jacksonville, and then there's going to be a little pause because Hillsborough is right along with us in Manatee and Sarasota County in looking to build an Isaiah in our area. So just a little bit about, whoops, I'm going too far forward, sorry. So just a little bit about me. As he said, I retired from HCA in 2022. I had a great retirement date, 2222, so that I can remember it. And so I really feel blessed that I have the time and ability to volunteer with this great organization to help bring a home to our area. My husband and I serve on the board of directors for Bridge of Life, and Bridge of Life is a faith-based nonprofit that provides wraparound care for foster and adoptive folks, and then also, sorry, our slides went blank. And also, we are in the preventative space now for the last 2 years. We've been working with the child welfare agencies in the preventative space via Care Portal. And so that's been a real blessing for us as well, to keep those kiddos with their parents, which is really what we want to do if it's safe for them to do so. So our mission is to provide Christ-centered hope for children with relational trauma through awareness and family support. So when we're doing that, we are always looking in our community, which is Circuit 12 is the area we cover, and Circuit 12 is Manatee, Sarasota, and DeSoto counties. And so we're always looking for opportunities of gaps in care. And so we identified a gap in care for our area, which is Removal Day. So a lot of folks don't understand what Removal Day is, and Removal Day is the day where child welfare agencies have to remove the children for safety concerns from their home. And so for many, that's their first transition into foster care, for most of them, actually. And so we're looking to bring an Isaiah 117 home into our area so that they are well cared for in that transition. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show a short 5-minute video from Rhonda Polson. She's our founder and executive director of Isaiah 117 House. And then afterwards, I'll tell you what having a home in our community will do for our kiddos.
In 2014, I knew nothing about foster care. I didn't know what DCS stood for. I didn't know anything about the plight of the children as they enter the system. All I knew is that I was supposed to adopt. Week 7 of that foster care training, they had us meet in the Department of Children's Services. And we were sitting in a conference room and there were no windows, and the gentleman leading the class said, when a child is removed from their home, they come here. And I looked around this room that was far from inviting, and I thought, surely he's wrong. And so I raised my hand and I said, I'm sorry, sir, but when you mean a child comes here, what do you actually mean? And he said, a little girl slept in this room last night. And in that moment, God said, these are my children, Rhonda. What are you going to do? How do you bring a child into your home? You can't halfway love a child. You're going to love them 100%. And even though you don't know that's in you, it is. And then the court call and say, they have to go back. That scared us to death. But I never will forget the moment that we both were like, it's not about us. This might not turn out the way we want it to turn out at all, but Isaiah still needs a mama today. And Isaiah still needs a daddy today. We had this moment and God showed up with joy, and God showed up and blessed our efforts, because that's what he's calling all of us to do, is get outside ourselves and get outside our fears. And when we do, when we stand in that place of unknown, that's where he is. And that's what we found through foster care. Every aspect of this community got behind and got excited about what if there was a home. So when we headed out into Carter County with this dream of what if there was a house, a few things happened. I got my first ever Facebook page. I'd never been on the Facebook. So we started posting and sharing, and people started liking and sharing, and all of a sudden there was like this social media craze right here in our little Carter County bubble. And then we decided to sell some t-shirts. We had 100 orders in 30 minutes, and I probably believed somewhere that this was a one-time, wow, Carter County, what a cool place to live. And then Greene County did the same thing. And then Washington County did it, and then Sullivan County did it, and now Blount's doing it, and Rutherford, and Knox. It's like, once the community is aware that not in some far off land, not somebody else's children, the children of your community feel unloved and feel that there's no hope. And once the community is made aware, the entire community gets behind it. As we move forward, our mission stays the same. No child sits in a cubicle or a conference room. No child feels alone or hopeless on that day of removal. That is our mission. And it started as a mission for no child in Carter County. It's turned into a mission of no child throughout the state of Tennessee. And if I'm honest, and it scares me, it's a mission of no child anywhere.
So on one of the most traumatic days of their lives, our children in our community currently either go to a DC Department of Children and Families office to sit, or they ride around in a patrol car or in a caseworker's car. In Manatee County currently, our process is that the CPI, the Children Protective Agency investigators, are with the Manatee County Sheriffs. And for those of you that don't know, the state of Florida has now changed that, and effective October, it will all be under the Department of Children and Families and no longer with the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. That is a little painful point. I know there's mixed feelings about that throughout the state. There are currently 7 sheriff's offices in our state that have that place of removal. And so those folks are transitioning if they accept the role. And just on a personal note, I'm going to tell you it's a huge pay cut. Accept the role to go from the Sheriff's Office CPI unit to work for the Department of Children and Families. And so for those of you that are praying, this wasn't in my speech, but I'm going to put it out there. I think the Lord has put this on my heart. We need to be praying for Manatee County because this is a big change, and we have a lot of social workers that may not be making that transition. What does that mean for the safety of our kiddos? So sorry, I got a little personal there for a minute. But anyway, because it's near and dear to my heart, obviously, because I'm volunteering to do this. So I just wanted to share that to make sure that you all are aware of the changes that are taking place in our own community. So our director, Jody Jester, was visiting her family in Indiana, and she came across a 117 home. They look a lot alike. And so she was offered the ability to tour that home and then learn more about it, and then brought it back to the board as something that we should consider bringing to our own community, and looking at what if there was a home for children to go to on the day of removal in our community, not go sit in a cubicle in an office or ride around in a car, but actually go to a home environment. And frequently these kiddos come tired and dirty and hungry, and right now, they go sit in an office. But what if we had the ability for them to go straight to a home where they were met with a child-serving volunteer whose only job it was to love on these kiddos while the caseworker is working on placement, and be able to receive a warm bath and be fed and have clothes in their size. And so we dream about having a home like this for the kiddos to go to in our community. So our mission consists of 3 objectives. One is to lessen the trauma for the children. Obviously, we're not going to remove that trauma. We're taking them away from the only mommy they've ever known, right? So, but if we could lessen that trauma. And the second part of our mission is to lighten the load for the caseworkers. And I know I just kind of went off on a bunny trail there for a minute to talk about our caseworkers. Our caseworkers have a hard job. And so what can we do to try to lighten that load? Right now, our caseworkers are removing lice in drug testing sinks from these kiddos. Some of them are paying for diapers and wipes out of their own pockets. Some of them have to call their own children in the evening and say, honey, I'm not going to make your basketball game because I need to stay with these children. And that's a really hard job. But what if we had an office for the caseworkers? So in our home, we had an office. It's all completely enclosed by glass. They have monitors to where they can have eyes on the children because they have to stay with the children 24/7. But this way they could see the children, and they could be in an office setting to do their job. They can be making those calls to try to find placement without the kiddos sitting over here in their office, hearing what they're saying. And then what if they have to go potty? Well, I gotta finish my phone call. Or what if they need to eat? And what if they need, so all the things that the caseworker's trying to juggle while she may have a sibling, she or he may have a sibling group of 3 in their office right behind them. So what if we had an office for them with dogging station and monitors and phone chargers? Hey, what's your favorite creamer? We're going to Chick-fil-A for the kiddos. Let me get you some lunch because I know you haven't eaten. And so that's kind of our dream for the caseworkers, is to help lighten their load. And then the third part of our mission is to ease the transition for foster families. Foster families, we have a critical shortage in Manatee County. I don't know if you all know, but Manatee County is on the list nationally for some of the most removals per county in our nation. And we have a shortage of foster families. So how can we lighten that load and try to help ease that transition for that foster family? So typically now, a call to them might occur at 1 a.m. to say, I have a sibling group of 3. They have head lice. They only have the clothes on their back. Can I bring them now? And I know for me and for many of us, that would really be a hard yes. So, but what if with an Isaiah 117 home, the call was something like this? It still might be 1 a.m. because placement takes a long time sometimes. Although I have to tell you on a side note, our stats are pretty good, 4 to 8, 12 hours of placement, which is really pretty good. And so what if the call was, I have a sibling group of 3. They've gone out to play. They've had a snack. They've come in and done their homework. They've had a bath. They've had dinner. They have brushed their teeth. They're in their new pajamas. We have a backpack full of clothes for a week for them, of new clothes in their size. And also, grandma or foster family, what do you need to take this group in? Do you need a car seat? Do you need a twin bed? Do you need diapers, wipes, formula? What do you need? Don't stop by Walmart on your way here. We have those things here for you. We just so appreciate you saying yes to taking these kiddos with you. And we also have food for you. We have freezers full of meals for the family so that they don't have to worry about dinner that first night for their family as well. So what if we had a home in our community for all of these reasons? So last July, it's almost been a year now, a few of us from the Board of Bridge of Life went to northeastern Tennessee. I think Rhonda referred to her little town, Elizabethton. It's a little town. And so we had the opportunity to tour 3 different homes in 3 different counties, and really look through what it took and what this looks like and the impact that it makes. And then we went back to their resource center and we sat around a conference table. And we talked logistics, and we dreamed a lot. And we said, what if we could open a home in our community for the kiddos in our community? And so January 23rd of this year, we kicked off the expansion team to build a home in our community for Isaiah 117 House here. So we were really excited, and we've spent the last 3 or 4 months since then, raising awareness, and we will continue to do so. But in the meantime, we are looking to build a home. So how can you help? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Isaiah 117 says, do good, seek justice, take care of the widow, take care of the orphan. And we really need our community to help us build a home here for these kiddos. So we're going to spend the next 3 or 4 months raising awareness, and then we're going to have our first annual fundraiser on September 21st at the Grove at their ballroom. And we're going to have a lunch and a dinner, and we hope to raise our funds for to build a home in our community. We are looking for table hosts that are would be willing to invite 7 of their friends or associates to come to our fundraiser. There is no minimum or maximum to come as far as cost. And I have a folder for everyone who wants to be a table host filled with little tips of being a table host or how to invite, what to say. We have printed invitations in them. I also will email you e-invites because I know a lot of times we're doing that. And so if you would think of if this is something you might want to do or something somebody you know would like to do, we are looking for table hosts. Another is we're looking for businesses to sponsor our lunch and our dinner catering. So if that's something that perhaps your business would be interested in. Another way is to help us continue to raise awareness is asking me to speak just like I am today, so thank you. If you know of a church group or a club or maybe a little Bible study group or whichever, I would love to come and share our mission about Isaiah 117 House. Also, we have our volunteers. You can volunteer now and join our expansion team. We meet the first Monday of the month, except for we're breaking in July because of the holiday, from 6 to 7 p.m. And I am a good timekeeper. In my past life, I was always the timekeeper. So we stop at 7 o'clock. It never runs over. And so we break into committees and really just looking for opportunities to continue to raise awareness. Another opportunity is to host a lemonade stand. And so what's really fun about the lemonade stands, because at first when I went to training, I'm thinking, lemonade stands, that's pretty minimal impact. However, it's really not. It's been amazing. But it's also what I think is really neat about it, it's a way for children to help children. And they love that, being able to contribute something. And so we've already had some lemonade stands across our community, and it's just amazing. And it's so fun to see the little ones out there selling lemonade. But I also find it amazing when I stop by, because I try to, they know the information on these cards and they talk about it. And it's so exciting to see. We had one youth group who did a challenge, a church youth group. And so to listen to those middle school kids and the high school kids talk about Isaiah 117. It was just such a blessing. It's so neat to see. But Isaiah 117 nationally, we have a lemonade stand challenge, July 14 to 16, across the states that we are in: Tennessee, Indiana, Georgia, Virginia, South Carolina, Texas, Florida. So we have a sign up. There's a QR code on the back of the brochure that I put on your table, and you can scan that, and then there's a little bubble that, sign up here for a lemonade stand. And so it's a really easy opportunity to just help raise awareness in our community. And so that's another way. And then if you are a praying person, if you'd set your phone alarms to 1:17 p.m., your spouse will probably appreciate that, and not a.m. And you can pray for Isaiah 117 House. And then also, we are on Facebook to follow us and like us and share us to help get the word out in our community about Isaiah 117 House. And so now I'm going to open it up to questions. If any of you have any questions for me. Yes, ma'am. So she said, how many kids do we anticipate? Great question. So every home is different as far as every time there's a call come in. So each home is run by a program coordinator. And so it really depends on the children that are coming. So it does flex. And as I said, sometimes the kiddos are there only for a couple hours, and sometimes 8, sometimes overnight. So for Florida, we had to work with Secretary Harris, who is for Department of Children and Family. Huge supporter of us. She actually attended one of our kickoffs, and so did the deputy of DCF, which I thought was amazing. But we are signing an MOU in order for them to sleep over. So that's just about done now, because in the state of Florida, it's not real clear, so we're trying to make it a little more clear. Some folks feel like you have to have a license in order for them to spend the night, but it really doesn't say that in the law. So we're just going to have an MOU so that it's clear, but we have a boys' room and a girls' room. And then to specifically answer your question, the reason why it matters is we may get somebody from juvenile justice that has some behavioral issues. We do have a visitation space on the side of our house, so sometimes we'll put those kiddos over there. So it really depends on who's coming and what is their background. So it's always flexible and ever-changing. Yes, sir.
On that, is there a screening process? Because I've worked in that system a lot. Is there a screening process? Because sometimes the reason the kids go into foster care is they keep getting arrested and the parents won't pick them up anymore. Is there a screening process for a child like that that's going to be kept separate from?
Yes. And so we do work with a lot of the judges in the area in Tennessee. In fact, we have one of the videos that's just amazing from a juvenile justice who just loves Isaiah 117 House for his kiddos to go to. So yes, there is a process with that. And sometimes that conversation is even with the state director. That Isaiah House has a state director and the judge. So it just really depends on the situation, because everyone, as you're aware, is completely different. Yes, sir.
So if a child goes into foster care and they're placed with the family, I thought I heard you mention sometimes they can be taken away from the family. And does that happen because maybe the parent is in jail or something and gets out of jail and they get the child back? Or how does that work?
That's a great question. So he's asking about kiddos removed, placed with a foster family. Most all of the time, the families are trying to work a reunification plan. And they meet with the judge or with different counselors in trying to make those steps and be successful at those steps in the plan. And if they are, then it is determined that the kids are safe to go back with their families. And really, that is the ultimate goal, is to try to get these kiddos, obviously they need to be in a safe environment, but back with their parents. Yes, sir.
So it's, the house is staffed 24/7 then? Or is it only staffed when you get a call that says somebody's coming?
So it is staffed when we get a call that somebody's coming. So there's always 2 volunteers, and they are trauma-trained volunteers. And then, as I said, the caseworker always has to stay with the child or children 24/7.
So do the caseworkers do then? They rotate around? So-
They do. They do. They have a system because right now, if you think about it, these kiddos, I was at one of the offices a week ago and they had a group of 4, and so they only had 2 cots. And so 2 kiddos were on the cots and 2 kiddos were on the floor, and they're in the office. And so, yes, so the caseworker who pulled night duty went home to go to sleep, and then the new caseworker came in to take care of the kiddos and continue trying to find placement, because that's what they're really doing, is spending a lot of time on the phone, because they go through, family and then close friends, teachers, those kind of things, and then into the foster, those families that are willing to take foster kiddos. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I see you have Sarasota Manatee. Is the house going to be located in?
It's a great question. We did that on purpose. Excuse me. We work very closely, we Bridge of Life, because we've been in the area for almost 12 years now. We work really, really close with Safe Children's Coalition, with the CPI, Manatee County Sheriffs, as well as DCF, CPI in Sarasota. And so we met with them before we even moved forward. In fact, one of the things I was really impressed with Rhonda and her board, they meet with them before agreeing to bring a home in our community to make sure that they're on board. So the vice president of the Safe Children's Coalition, she did a heat map of where the kiddos are removed, not where their offices are, but where they're removed, because the dream is you go straight from removal to the home. And so it's mostly in Manatee County. It's kind of west of I-75. Not really as close to 301 and 41 as I would have assumed. And so then it branches out. And so what we did is we kind of did an epicenter and then kind of branched it out in the heat map. And so that is why we landed on Manatee, Sarasota. I think in the future, because we have so much child removals in our area in Manatee County, I see a house separate and being just Manatee County, but for now, we are doing this to try to meet the needs of both. And just so you're aware, even if it was solely in Manatee County, a lot of times the homes take children, depending on their availability and space, from near, different areas. And so we see sharing with Hillsborough County as well, because Hillsborough County leads Manatee County, but not by a lot, in the state of Florida. Believe it or not, we're up at the top compared to, I know a lot of us would think Miami or Orlando or somewhere, Jacksonville, but no, we have more removals in our area, Hillsborough, Manatee, than in the state. Yes, sir.
Just on that issue, I understand what your feelings are about shifting to DCF and away from the sheriff, but I did read an article that part of the justification for that is now Hillsborough County,
Yes.
who needs more staff,
Yes.
is all from Manatee or from Pinellas, and vice versa.
Right, and I know,
Can't go to Sarasota.
you are right. You are correct. And obviously it's going to be, I guess the part of it that kind of breaks my heart, it's not so much the transition to DCF, it's the length of time of transition to DCF without firm in writing for those workers. And so we're losing those workers because I think all of you can understand if you're the breadwinner in your home and you know that your job is transitioning in a couple months, you need to know what that looks like, right? You need to know what your salary is going to be, and you need to know the specifics of the job. And so that's, I guess, my heartburn, if you will, that it's been a long time in coming, because of course it's politics, right? So you have, and it's government, and you had to get a vote, and the vote did go through, and so now it's on the governor's desk to be signed. And then once that happens, then they can, in writing, tell these 7 counties what the offer is. But right now the offer is verbal. And so I think that I don't have a problem with the transition. I think I have a problem with being notified in February, and here we are June, and these folks are finding new jobs and I don't want to lose them. They're trained, they're passionate. You know what's unique about Manatee County for CPI? They have longevity. We do not see that in other communities across our state. I cannot believe the tenure of their roles, because that is a hard job with a lot of turnover. And so that's been really unique in Manatee County. So that's really, I guess, my frustration is just I hate to see these great folks leave the role that they're so passionate about. So that's why. So, but you're right. I mean, it will allow that, you know, and it was always a kind of a test the waters when they did the original with the sheriff's offices in the 7 communities. So, but it's been a long time, and now they're changing it, which, you know, again, we all have changed and suffer through it, but we get through it, and hopefully our kiddos don't suffer in that transition.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Michelle.
you, I appreciate it.
Oh, don't go anywhere. Michelle. As Kiwanis tradition, we present you with our much coveted and awarded Kiwanis Golden Ruler to help you measure the house you're going to build.
Well, thank you. How nice.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks.
All right, and before we leave, we have one quick announcement. Jack, come on up. We have some new name badges to hand out today. So, Jack. Oh, here, you have the microphone.
Handing out name badges may not seem like a big thing, but honestly, it's a real sign of a strong, vibrant club. We're bringing in a lot of new members, terrific quality members that are going to lead us on into our next 100 years. So if you're here today, please come up when we announce your name.
Here you go.
Okay. First is Christy Haley here. Christy's not here, so we'll say that and give it to her.
Okay.
How about Mike Makar? Mike, are you here? Vote for 2. Jay Ellis, I know you're here. It'll take a while. Next up, Rich Morris. And do we have someone from EDC here? A representative? No, okay, so I guess we have more to give out later.
All right, thanks so much, Jack. All right, and with that, we are dismissed. Thank you.